Good evening, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back to Hilaal Live. My name is Faraz Patel on the last of our shows for the year 2023. And today we decided to go a bit on a lighter note. We're going to be discussing tourism within South Africa. Now, we know, of course, South Africa, with its 9 provinces, offers so much of beauty and splendor that you as a South African can, of course, go ahead and visit, but also the international tourists that are going ahead and touring our country. Joining me now to discuss this, I'd like to welcome the head of PR at South African Tourism, Thandiwe Mathibela. Thandiwe, good day. Thank you so much for joining us here on Hilaal.
Good day, and thank you so much for inviting me, and good day to all the viewers at home.
No, it's an absolute pleasure. And you know, when we speak tourism in South Africa, it truly is the heartbeat of our economy, isn't it?
Indeed, indeed. It is the backbone of our economy, and domestic tourism is very important in that regard, yes.
Tandi, let's speak about obviously when holiday season kicks in. You know, there's so much to tour. I mean, from the mountains to the oceans to the wildlife. You only find that in very few countries, and South Africa is actually one of those unique countries, isn't it?
Definitely. South Africa is a unique country that offers a wide variety of tourism products and experiences, and also doing so at various price points. So your question is, what are the things that tourists can do in South Africa? There is a lot. There is no doubt why we are voted or we keep receiving accolades from various countries. We've got a wide variety of offerings. You know, we cater for the families. We also cater for couples, and we also cater for solo travelers. So a person can go from a very high adventure, which is bungee jumping, or you can just relax in an open bush and have yourself a spa. We've got award-winning restaurants. So we really have a lot that people can do when they come to South Africa.
Thandiwe, let's start off, of course, with those who like to spend a lot of money when they're touring. You know, when you go drive around the Garden Route area, I mean, there's so much to see there also. But it's not just Garden Route. It's places like the Kruger National Park. There's also Limpopo. There's even the Northern Cape, which many of the tourists can go ahead and visit. So let's speak about, you know, those who want to spend a lot. What are some of the places they can go ahead and tour?
You know, what I'd like to say is that South Africa is generally a value for money destination. So you may find that people come here, they expect to buy things at very high prices, and they're always pleasantly surprised, right? So you talked about, you know, the coastal areas, but also there are smaller provinces like Mpumalanga, for instance, which you've mentioned, the Kruger from Mpumalanga. But it's also got other little places that are quaint and charming, where people can really have high-end quality experiences at a very affordable rate. You know, so yes, you talk about people that can afford, but I just want to emphasize that, you know, South Africa has got an offering for various price points. Of course, if you go towards the Western Cape area, there are other really high-end places that cater for those ones that have got deeper pockets as well. But across South Africa, there's just a variety of offerings.
And that, of course, comes in also for, you know, those who don't want to spend a lot. They're working on a very tight budget, but there's so much that the country offers in terms of having a tight budget. And, you know, that's the beauty of South Africa and its ability to offer it for tourists, doesn't it?
Indeed. In fact, I want to encourage people to go to www.southafrica.net and for our domestic travelers to go to www.shortleft.co.za. There you can choose your experiences that you want to have. You can choose them by price point. You can choose them by preference. You can choose them by province. And therefore, you can be able to tailor make or rather choose packages that suit your pocket, suit your needs, suit your preferences, and obviously suit your adventure appetite if you do have one. And that is what we at South African Tourism seek to do. We need to make sure that we respond to the needs of the traveler. And travelers have told us what they want. You know, post the COVID-19 pandemic, travelers have said that they really want wide open spaces because they've been confined for a bit. You know, they also want to know the country even more. And that is where our people, our warm people come in, you know, the people that actually give the tourists that intangible experience, that memorable experience that they will forever take with them. But it's also the people that work in the service industry of the tourism industry, where they actually give that service excellence that tourists always take back home and talk about.
Thandiwe, now I'm not going to lie to you. I love the ocean, especially during the summer, and that's probably the one destination I enjoy. But I've also experienced going to, Hazy View, Mpumalanga during the summer. I've also toured Limpopo during the summer. So, I mean, how difficult is it, if you're not going to an ocean, if you have the budget to go to an area like a mountainous area, how difficult is it to sell, or is it the easier sell, given maybe that could be the preference that a tourist wants to go to?
Respond to what tourists are looking for. So if the ocean is your thing, we've got it for you. If the berg is your thing, we've got it for you. But we do know that people usually look for the bush, the berg, and obviously people also look for, the beach, which is the coastal areas. So those three Bs are quite important. And we find that a lot of people are looking for a little bit of both, especially if people are coming to South Africa for the first time. They do have experiences that they want to tick against. But we also always encourage people to, go on that hidden gems mission, because that's where you will find the unique touches. That's where you'll find the quaint, charming stories, in those unexpected stories. And that's where you will really get the authentic and non-curated experiences, really.
After the break, I continue my conversation with Thandiwe Mathibela. We're going to be talking about how South African tourism works from a corporate perspective to make sure that the brand of South Africa from a tourist perspective works well. Do stay tuned to Hilaal Live. Welcome back. I'm still in conversation with Thandiwe Mathibela from South African Tourism. Thandiwe, now, the short left, obviously, slogan, and it's a slogan that has been going on for many years with regards to South African tourism. It really is a unique one, isn't it? Because what it does do is that it tells South Africans that, look, if you don't have the budget for going overseas, take your money and promote it towards South African tourism. From a corporate perspective, I mean, that was, quite a clever idea also, but an effective idea, wasn't it?
In fact, I want to say that the short-lived campaign is not saying if you do not have the budget to go overseas. It is actually encouraging South Africans to explore their country, whether or not they have the money or they can afford to go overseas. It really is about encouraging South Africans to get to know their own country. And that is why our campaign line is, it's your country, enjoy it, because there's nothing more fun than a short left, because there really isn't. And there's always something to do in South Africa. So it is really rooted in promoting domestic tourism, whether or not you do have the funds to go overseas. So I think that is quite important for me to outline. And it is a very uniquely South African thing because it's actually become part of a language. When people go to explore various parts of the country, they actually say, I am taking a short left. It's become part of our lexicon. We've also seen it being used by other brands, which is something that we totally welcome. It is just speaking to the equity and the authenticity of the brand that is short left. So with that, we are very, very pleased. But as South African tourism, what I also want to highlight is that we are very big on working with the rest of the industry, whether it's both public or private sector. So we work very closely with the provincial tourism authorities, where we exchange notes, where we also get to know what the various provinces are also, promoting and what they're showcasing, the various events that they've got. And of course, we work with the private sector to also drive the tourism mandate. So from a corporate perspective, it's really important for us to not run ahead on our own, but to definitely be the leader that actually is working with the rest of the industry. Because after all, we need to advance, getting South Africans to travel their own country, but also increasing tourist arrivals to South Africa.
Thandiwe, I want to talk about the COVID-19 pandemic, and I think we all know what an effect it had on South African tourism, and I think tourism as a whole. How was SA Tourism able to, market itself post-COVID to try and make sure that South Africa still remains a viable destination, not only for the locals, but for overseas visitors to still see South Africa as a place to tour?
One of the great things we did just as COVID-19 hit, we actually pivoted. We had a marketing campaign that spoke to, we know that you cannot travel now, but here are the experiences and products that you can have in South Africa for when you can travel later. So we made sure that our brand, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, remains top of mind. We made sure that people remember and know what experiences they can have in South Africa, because we also know that suddenly, with all that time and all that confinement, people actually realized how much they need to travel and how much they want to travel. And therefore, people were already formulating their bucket lists so that when their countries opened up, they were able to choose where to go. And we made sure that South Africa remained top of mind. We had a lot of digital online campaigns. We had a lot of virtual tours that we did. So even from when COVID-19 hit, we're very clear about marketing our country. And of course, when the world opened up, and of course, different markets opened at different times, we had a very well-researched marketing campaign that was responding to the needs, of the audiences, the various audiences from different markets. And that was our global marketing campaign, which was the Live Again campaign, which is really was about, we know you've been confined. We know that you want to be free. We know that you want to explore again. So please come to South Africa to live again. Of course, that campaign was nuanced for the various markets because we used different insights, because as South African tourism, we are very, very sensitive to the needs, and the various preferences of the various travelers of the various needs that come from the various travelers, because we do not do a one size fits all. We rather want to make sure that we are bespoke and we customize and we speak to the needs, because that is what is going to make people opt to come to South Africa more than any other country. And we've seen that it has paid off. Of course, times have moved on. We are now also doing different phases of the various marketing components that we do. We are partnering with the industry even greater in doing so. So really, from the onset, when the COVID-19 hit, we made sure that we stay true, to what we are as South Africa, and we make sure that we build on that trust that is ever so needed when a visitor is going to opt to visit our country.
As a public relations practitioner, Thandiwe, I mean, you would know the power of social media. And what we've seen with social media is that the interaction with tourists, how much of a role does that play, that interaction with tourists in getting their feedback about places that they've visited within the country?
It plays an incredibly important role. We also know that people will also listen to people that they engage with. We also know that people will also listen to people that seem to be like-minded, people like the same things. So the role of social media is incredibly important. And that is why at South African Tourism, we also work with various influencers, who actually help to drive our messaging. And these are not people that we necessarily feed information to, because that wouldn't be authentic. These are people that have come to experience our country. These are people that are authentically and credibly sharing their experiences with other people. And those other people are interacting with us, and they're actually opting to come to South Africa. We also follow conversations quite closely because it's quite important. It's part of our insights. It's part of our mission to gain insights in understanding our travelers better, because that is what we strive for. So when people are having conversations on things that may not necessarily be things that work for them, we have to be able to respond to those. And social media has become the fastest, most effective, and most convenient way of actually interacting with people in an almost immediate way of doing so.
Thandiwe, from a corporate perspective, I mean, when you look at, the fruits of the work that has been done by SA Tourism, and you see that South Africa, no matter what the negative headlines may be, and these are, of course, small pockets of it, when you see, tourists coming into the country and giving, of course, that 5-star rating to whatever it is, how much of satisfaction from a corporate perspective is there for SA Tourism, knowing that this is still a country which everyone within the global community still loves?
South African tourism puts in a lot of work in ensuring that we are responsive to what tourists need. So, of course, that accolade, that vote, of confidence goes a long way. But like I've said, it is the work of the force here at South African Tourism in terms of the staff here, but it is also the collaboration with other people that are within the tourism sector. We may make a promise, but that promise is delivered at a product level, at a hotel. So it really is gratifying for everyone that is involved in the tourism value chain when we get positive reviews. Equally, it is as equally important for us to be able to respond when the views are not so favorable, so that we can make sure that we make things better in that attempt to build a trust with the visitors.
Thandiwe, now I'm going to test you a little bit. I'm going to ask, what is Thandiwe Mathibela's favorite picks from each of the 9 provinces? You don't have to give me all 9, but just maybe one where you would say, listen, if you are coming to South Africa, this is a must for you to visit.
It is a difficult one because there is so much to choose from. But what I will say is that each and every tourist, I can almost guarantee, in fact, each and every visitor, which is what we'd like to consider our visitors, each and every visitor that comes to South Africa is guaranteed to receive a warm welcome from South Africans who really value, the tourists, And if I really must choose a product for myself specifically, because I am a combination of adventure, I love sports. So, we've got great, outdoor experiences that a person can either go hiking, a person can go for a great quality run. We've got coastal cities where we've got fresh, crisp beaches that people can enjoy. We've also got, like I've said, small, charming towns where there's stories. I do not want to leave out the mention of our great food. We've got stunning food. We cater for various, consumers. So really, there is a lot. Like I said, it's going to be very difficult for me to choose. I don't ever want to, forget our culture. We are a very colorful, cultural, diverse country, and that is something that is also very unique about South Africa. And I know that each and every visitor that comes to South Africa takes that away with them to say, wow, what a beautiful, diverse nation that is so welcoming.
Thandiwe, we'd like to thank you so much for joining us here on Hilaal Live, and all the best ahead of the holiday season.
Thank you. What I do want to say, though, in closing, is that I want to thank the South Africans for continuing to explore their country. Domestic tourism plays an incredible part, obviously outside of the fact that you are taking a trip, to relax and enjoy with your family and friends. You're also contributing to the country's economy, and that is very much appreciated. So thank you to all the domestic travelers and to all the visitors that are coming to South Africa. Thank you for opting for us, and you're guaranteed for a time of your life.
Yeah, no, definitely. There's one thing about South Africa. There's beauty in each of the 9 provinces. Thandiwe, thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Thank you so much.
That's it, Thandiwe Mathibela, Head of PR at South African Tourism. After the break, I'll have your latest in news. Do stay tuned.